Welcome to Radiant Midlife, the podcast for women who know they're here to lead differently. I'm your host, Tara Preston, midlife matriarchal awakening and transition guide, sacred nourishment and feminine prosperity mentor, creator of the Flower of Life Akashic Healing Method and certification, serving women globally for over 14 years. Here we explore midlife as a sacred portal of rebirth, a time for cycle breakers, visionaries, and mothers of new paradigms to awaken their power and rise as matriarchs. Each week, we'll dive into soulful conversations that blend the spiritual and the practical, from feminine leadership, womb wisdom, and prosperity to holistic wellness, hormones, and herbal support. Everything you need to feel nourished, radiant, and free in this next evolution of your life. Because midlife isn't an ending, it's the beginning of your most powerful chapter yet. Before we begin, I'd love to gift you my free ebook, Sacred Nourishment for Midlife Radiance, a beautiful guide filled with nourishing rituals, herbal wisdom, and feminine prosperity practices to support your vitality and radiance. You can download it through the link in the show notes. Welcome home. Enjoy this episode of Radiant Midlife. Good morning and welcome to the Radiant Midlife Secret Series podcast. I'm very excited to be joining with Sally Berg today, another exciting guest. And I'm just going to share a little bit about what today's title is. I'm going to introduce Sally and we're going to dive in. This is a fun one. So Sally is a midlife mentor and embodiment guide, and the title of her talk today is Living a Turned On Midlife. So Sally Berg is a visionary midlife mentor and embodiment coach. She's leading the menopausal pleasure revolution. She supports women to reclaim their vitality, radiance, and happiness after years of losing themselves, caring for everyone else. She's a trauma-informed master guide for discerning, high-achieving women navigating midlife and menopause, championing this time as an empowering rite of passage rather than a condition to be fixed. She supports women out of stress and overwhelm into ease and pleasure with her unique Reclaimed Woman methodology map and one-to-one mentorship program so they can rise into this new powerful chapter like the phoenix in the flames. And she loves busting a few myths about aging for women, which is amazing. I love that. Sexy at 60 and living her best, most vibrant and turned on life ever. She's a passionate motivational speaker and holds wellness workshops for women in corporate. I love this. I love all of it. So I already have questions, but just, when, I was saying before we hopped on, one place that I love to start is just like, where did all this open for you? Where did your journey begin?
Wow, thanks, Tara. It's just so exciting to be here, and I love nothing more than talking about all of this with especially other women. It's my
Yeah.
greatest passion, and I feel like I'm born to do this. I want to spend the rest of my life championing and supporting women. I just love it. And I suppose that's been a big part of my journey is circling in sisterhood. Um, and what brought me to this work, like many, the wounded healer, is I grew up with a bipolar alcoholic father, sexual abuse, a lot of violence, which meant, there was a lot of trauma in my life, a lot of trauma in my nervous system. And it led to adult things like 5 years of serious depression, always really struggling to orgasm, being in sexual freeze, not really feeling safe to be fully sexual in my own body. And so this took me on an incredible healing journey. Like the 5 years of depression was the portal when I was about 40 years old. And I was sitting in, I'd started on a big healing journey around my father, but the talking therapy wasn't really working. And I started to understand that trauma was trapped in my body. And I started to understand I was going to have to somehow move it out, but I wasn't sure how. And one evening I was sat in a restaurant with my then husband, and this woman walked in. She was just radiant. And I just looked at her and I was like, who on earth is that? I want to know you. So I plucked up the
Amazing.
courage and went to speak to her. and she was an international Tantra teacher, Shakti Milan. And so
Ah.
that's where Tantra found me. And Tantra literally saved my life. It supported me out of
Mm.
depression, back into a more vibrant life. And once I started experiencing Tantra, so I've been practicing and learning Tantra for 20 years now. And so I'd say that is, one of the greatest gifts of my life is learning and practicing Tantra. And it
Mhm.
has led me to conscious dance and lots of somatic movement, breath work. So there's lots of different sort of modalities that are woven into Tantra, as you'll know. And what I love about
Mhm.
Tantra is it's really one of the only, if not the only, spiritual practice that really welcomes our sexuality, and it really
Mhm.
welcomes our shadow parts. It's sort of like the good, the bad, the mad, the sad, the ugly, like all of it is
Mhm.
welcome, and
Mhm.
it's all alchemized in the container of Tantra and the practice of Tantra. So yeah, that's really what set me off on
That's
on this
amazing.
path.
I don't think that everyone really understands what Tantra is. Like, I think that, and
Yeah.
especially now you hear more and more about it, but just to maybe explain through your lens, if you can, yeah, a little bit about
Yes.
what like Tantra is. And you did give us a little bit, but yeah,
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously, it's a huge topic,
right.
very nuanced, very wide, and a lot of misconceptions too. A lot of people hear tantra and they think, oh, sex, orgies, and
Right.
it's not what tantra is about at all. For me, if I could just put it in a nutshell, I think tantra is about intimacy with self and intimacy with others and intimacy with life. It's about really um, learning, remembering through the body, like remembering through our membranes.
Hmm.
It's about learning how to feel again, how to open our heart, how to install fierce boundaries. So it's very powerful work, and has so many different practices: meditation, movement, dance. But I'd say, yeah, it's about intimacy. And for me, I feel like it's just something that's so yearned for and needed in the world right now. I feel like Tantra supports us back into our feeling bodies. It supports our
Hmm.
nervous system to create ease so that we can
Hmm.
actually feel again. It supports what I call like a full spectrum life where, often we're living in this because
Hmm.
we're not feeling very much because our nervous systems are armored. We're, bracing against the outer world. And so Tantra really supports us, when we start feeling the depths of our despair and grief, we can start to feel the heights of our ecstasy. So it sort of expands our capacity to feel more of life.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And
Mm.
how do you feel this supports like your work, this even just this kind of like lens that you're bringing forward? Why is this work important for women in midlife? Like, what are you seeing, finding? Yeah.
Mm. No, that's a beautiful question. And I think what's so potent right now, especially with what we're seeing playing out in the world with Epstein and everything that's coming
Yeah.
into the light more from the darkness,
Mm-hmm.
is and particularly for midlife women, I think we've often been in coping mechanisms for a long time. A lot of midlife women are juggling a lot of balls right now.
Yeah.
If they chose to have children, they probably did it later, so they've got maybe younger
Mm-hmm.
children, they've got aging parents to care for, a bit of social activism on the side, plus a full-time demanding career or job.
Yeah.
So is it
Mm-hmm.
any wonder that most midlife women hit perimenopause like a brick wall? Because I
Mm-hmm.
think they've been pushing through for decades, building up cortisol, frying their adrenals. And I believe that most of what's presented as menopausal symptoms are to do with cortisol, because
Mm-hmm.
cortisol creates inflammation, brain fog, drop in libido, weight gain, can lead to autoimmune diseases.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, what I've curated and put together with my practices, and it's like a weaving together of everything I've learned over the last 20 years, really,
Yeah.
and life, is
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
if we start to reset the nervous system first, start with the nervous system, and then start cultivating feel good hormone, oxytocin, which
Mm-hmm.
starts to bring calm and ease and pleasure into the body. Oxytocin is like this magic medicine for women,
Mm-hmm.
particularly for female bodies, I think, because
Mm-hmm.
it starts to create inner safety.
Yeah.
And as we know, there is no outer safety for female bodies in this world, period.
Mm-hmm.
And we cannot rely on that to feel safe, to feel well, to feel happy, to feel joyful. And so that's why most women's nervous systems are in fight, flight, numb, freeze, armoring. And, our bodies are doing
Mm-hmm.
their best to protect us. But sadly, and I know this because I've lived it, the armoring up led to me being depressed for 5 years because my body
Mm-hmm.
was trying to protect me. But in
Mm-hmm.
actual fact, what this armoring does is it then like cuts down our feeling realms, and it also sort of numbs out some of our really vital instincts like intuition, desire, anger. It kind of takes the edge off everything. And so activating oxytocin it's like rocket fuel for life.
Mm-hmm.
Cultivating this erotic aliveness in the body becomes this energizing fountain. It's like the gift
Right.
that keeps giving. It brings vibrancy, energy. We sleep better. So for me, it's like this pleasure is the primary portal for health and well-being for midlife women. That it's like that, you can take
I
as
love
many
it.
supplements as you like, drink as much green juice as you like, but if your nervous system is shut down, or adrenals are fried, you're not going to receive or absorb anything. It's
Mm-hmm.
an inside job, and our bodies hold so much wisdom, and we've become disconnected. We've been told that science and our heads and our minds have all the
Mm-hmm.
answers, but as some of us know, are these incredible feminine bodies are like this
Mm-hmm.
laboratory of eros and magic. We've just
Mm-hmm.
forgotten, and we've been
Mm-hmm.
told that there's always something wrong with our bodies. We live in a youth obsessed culture that says we're too fat, we're too thin, we're too wrinkly. It's like a constant distraction and
It's so
bombardment
wild. It's so
that is
wild and it's so
oh,
unfair. Yeah.
so
It's so wild and
unfair.
it's
And
so unfair.
I
I
am
know
so over it.
because we know that the power of there's so much power in midlife, and that women really are stepping into their most powerful time if they really, I find, grab a hold of what this midlife kind of portal can really be. But there's so much distraction, like you were saying, which is kind of part of the invitation of this secret series podcast. Come on in, take a listen, tune in, right?
Tune in,
Really
yeah.
feel what's true for you because
Yeah,
there's so much power in the aging for the aging woman. And we've kind of got all
exactly.
of these, yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
Is
Yeah,
there
but we've
any,
had
yeah.
centuries of conditioning, since
Mm-hmm.
the Romans and organized religion came in. That when the women were in the temples, when the women
Mm-hmm.
were offering their blood to the land for fertility, when they were
Mm-hmm.
dancing, when they were the midwives, the healers, the village oracle. Organized religion came in and went, this is all a bit powerful. We're going to shut this shit down.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
And the rest is history, not her story, as we know. And that's
Right.
when the witch hunt started. So, we still carry the wounding from that. And I feel so excited about of living in these extraordinary times of great change and chaos and yes, a lot of challenge. And I feel like this is our time. I feel like there's a tsunami of powerful midlife
Mm-hmm.
women standing up and going, we are not subscribing to this anymore, and we're going
Yeah,
to do things differently instead of engaging with all the drama and you
exactly.
know trying to make ourselves look younger or thinner or smaller. We're going to be as big and as loud and proud as we like, but we're doing it
Yeah.
with what I call like a soft power. And for me, it's not
Mm-hmm.
about being aggressive in a very masculine, shouty way. And
Mm-hmm.
that's where the embodiment piece comes
Yeah.
in. Of like when we start embodying this erotic
Mm-hmm.
aliveness, for me, it's like this presence of like open heart, fierce boundaries, and
Mm-hmm.
this sort of thrumming through the body that comes more from the back body rather than a pushing forward.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like this, like we're queens sat on our throne. And
Hmm. Yeah.
this presence, we don't have to do anything, we just have to be in this presence, and it restores harmony, right relations, natural law, LORE, all around us.
Mhm.
So it's reinstating something, it's a reclamation, and it's for the benefit of all. This isn't, because it's not about top down, it's not about women trying to get over men or be better than.
Right.
This presence is, in the deep feminine way, is about circling and spiraling, and it's
Hmm.
inclusive and it's kind, and yeah, it's
Yeah.
for the benefit of all.
I
And
find it
men
very
feel it too.
matriarchal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's very inclusive and it's very balancing to the collective. And it is, there's a very empowered presence. It's just totally inverted from the pushing, going, doing, searching for our value externally, right? And
Mm,
buying into all that noise because it creates so much disconnect versus coming back into the truth and the intrinsic power that we have as women, which is, that we were born more than enough, right? That our presence is beautiful and valuable,
mm,
just being here, right? So we have to come back into that remembrance. But
yes.
yeah, I just wanted to add that in because it's really
Mm,
beautiful what you're expressing and
mm,
saying. And especially
yeah.
that it's circular power. It's really harmonizing, it's really balancing, it's really healing for the collective.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, share with us a little bit. I think you've talked, kind of touched on points of it, but your reclaimed woman methodology map. I'm just curious about it. Kind of popped up when you talked about it. Do you want to share a little bit about it?
Yeah, I'd love to, because I feel like within Western culture there isn't a robust map through menopause really, and there's so much fear mongering going on, of like, because of the narrative, the narrative about aging, that we're in decline, we're in loss, that everything's going south, and we're all on a
Right.
trajectory to becoming dried up old bags, and it's all over, and we're going to be invisibilized and marginalized. And then, with menopause as well being sort of framed more as a condition to be fixed, or an illness, there's something wrong with us, it's been
Hmm.
pathologized,
Hmm.
medicalized. And yeah, I've noticed a lot of very shouty, sort of powerful female American doctors doing a lot of shouty fear mongering. And
Yep,
I'm like,
I
you're
know.
not
The
part of the
visible voices.
sisterhood. What are
I'm like,
you
we
doing?
need more new paradigm voices speaking to like this transition because I feel like there's so much being left out. So
There's so
thank you
much
for,
being left out.
yeah.
Yeah. And
So
I
thank you
and
for
I feel
speaking
like
to this.
I'm, yeah, thank you. I
Hmm.
want to be a part of that movement. And I see there
Hmm.
are other women who are starting to speak in this way. There's enough of
Yeah.
us to start, the
Yeah.
tsunami. But
Yeah,
yeah, so
exactly.
the reclaimed woman for me is a robust map through midlife and menopause. So, and I call it Sal's greatest hits, because it's
Oh, I love it.
basically a curation of lots of different tools and practices that have really worked for me and still support me. I just turned 60, and I feel more alive and vibrant and juicy and turned on than I ever have in my life. I'm having
Yeah,
like the best
amazing.
intimacy and sex of my life. It's like
Love it.
amazing. And I
Hmm.
want every woman to feel like this. And
Yeah.
so this map that I've created it's like a journey. And at the moment, I'm sort of offering like a 1 month or a 3 month bespoke one-to-one journey with me. I'm doing group programs.
Hmm.
And
Very
so
cool.
it's about deep self-inquiry. So there's inquiry along the way. But the
Hmm.
most important piece is there's all these different sort of practices, and I call some of them love bites, because these are like little nibbles of love that you weave into your day, because I know that women are really busy, and I know that women are not used to prioritizing themselves, right? So, and you say pleasure to women and they're like, oh, yeah, I'll have a bubble bath next week or something. We're so used to as well, like not prioritizing ourselves or outsourcing our pleasure, thinking it's coming from someone else, a lover or a
Right.
new handbag.
Hmm.
But this is all about really taking radical responsibility for your own pleasure, that is this portal to health and well-being. Because once doing the practices, I mean, I've had amazing results. I just took 18 women through a 1 month container and a one-to-one with a woman through January, and it's life changing. It's
Hmm.
there's quite it's quite simple things, but they're really effective. And with me as the badass crone elder holding holding the women through that,
Mhm.
holding them accountable, and
Yeah.
holding them in all that's coming up, because there's
Hmm.
obviously going to be a lot of, there's some grief coming up, there's some sadness, there's some anger, it stirs up a lot of feelings. But it's
Yeah.
very important that we feel those in order to pop through
Hmm.
feeling more connected to our own bodies and understanding that our own bodies hold all the wisdom. So it's
Hmm.
about that. It's a reclamation. There's beautiful rituals. It's about self devotion, self touch, just learning to become our own best lovers, actually, and
Hmm.
tending to our tenderness in a
That's
way that is
beautiful.
very moving for most women. Yeah.
I think it's important too, like to have community and then also to have like
Mm,
a guide. Like I think that it
yeah.
alleviates a lot of the pressure of trying to figure it out of ourselves, or even just like sometimes just the suffering, just like the
Yeah.
pain, like to just be in community and have that space held. So
Mm.
that's amazing. Um, and I love that you brought up the crone because I just wanted to speak to that because I haven't really touched on any of this, but the crone was originally the crowned one. It was when,
Yes.
like elder women were actually referred to as the crown when they were community leaders, where they would start to
Mm.
cycle back their life wisdom and experience back to the younger generation. They were looked to for guidance, for wisdom, for leadership. And then the patriarchy came and turned it into the crone, which is fine because we can reclaim that and make it ours and be hot crones, whatever. But just to like speak to some of the inversion that
Mm.
like, has come about as women really open up to this reclamation of what beauty, power, and truth can be through this midlife portal.
Mm.
Let's speak a little bit about this rewriting the narrative around aging in this youth obsessed culture. I think because this is I love that topic, but I think it's like good to just deepen into it and like, well, how do we do it? What does it look like to be able to do that? Do you have anything you want to speak to or share on about that?
Yeah, that's a great question. Thanks, Tara. And I think rewriting it is actually more a physical living it and being it, because speaking it is, or writing it is not enough. I feel like we have to model it and be it, embody it.
Mm-hmm.
Again, that word embodiment, really
Mm-hmm.
embodying a healthy and vibrant midlife and beyond, body,
Mm-hmm.
mind, spirit. Of saying, no, I'm not going to go quietly. I'm not going to be parked off in the shadows. So for me, it's about visibility. I see
Mm-hmm.
for my own role, I see that it's about visibility of speaking, getting onto stages, talking about it, and inspiring other women to say, no, honey, you don't have to like put your grey cardigan on and sit at home being miserable. It's possible. And for me as well, this reframing it is all about our sexual life force energy as well, because as
Yeah.
well we've been told that, oh, it's going to be all over. 3 years ago that was me at 57. It was the end of my 35-year marriage. We hadn't had sex for like 8 years, and I just
Mm-hmm.
thought, oh well, that's it, we're just going to be companions. But thankfully not true. But I
Amazing.
think that's a very common narrative for women, older, women in their 50s,
Mm-hmm.
60s, maybe in long-term relationships, that the vibrancy drops off. And I think for me, the reframing is about reclaiming as well. It's a reframing and reclaiming of saying, my sexuality
Yes.
is for me.
Yeah.
This is for my energy. If having sex with someone, that could be the cherry on top of the cake, but that is not the main cake. For me, cultivating this
Mm-hmm.
erotic aliveness, it's
Mm-hmm.
like it's my creativity, my intuition, my purpose, my energy. It's everything. But
Mm-hmm.
again, we've forgotten that, or it's died off and we've sort of lost it. We've lost our spark, and that's
Yeah.
often to do with the cortisol. And so, yeah, that's yeah.
Yeah. I think too, like the cultivation of sexual energy too, just for myself, the creational energy is like a real source of vibrancy and vitality. It's a piece that I really weave into the work that I do because I feel like it's such an important intrinsic part of our beauty, our life
Mm,
force, like you were saying, right? Our vitality, that it's timeless. And
Yes.
also,
Yeah.
right, it's timeless. And I think some of what I'm hearing you say too is it's like like reclaiming. It's like we have to, I feel, and making that invitation to our listeners, you have to decide what's true for you. We've talked a lot on the with
Yeah.
the podcast series too about we get to choose our timeline for aging. It doesn't have to be
Mm.
gray sweaters and like whatever. Gray sweaters can be
Yes.
fine, but yeah.
Yeah.
It's like we get to choose our timeline for aging, but
Yeah.
also, one thing too is like just creating that spaciousness to like hear yourself, like what feels really true and good for you about the aging
Yes.
journey. What do you want to make it about? What feels
Mm.
good for you, and how do you want to claim that? um
Yes.
I also want
Yeah.
to speak to sexual trauma in midlife because for me in my 40s, and I've actually heard this from oh, what's her name? Jane. She lives in the UK. I can't remember, Hardwick, I think her name was. Anyways,
Oh, Jane Hardwick. Yeah.
yeah, and I'll swing back to that in a moment. But for me, like my 40s actually did become like a part of my like sexual awakening, but I really had to like dig into my sexual trauma. And that's where it was one of those pivotal points where I was like, wow, I'm like 40 and now like really awakening to that, like in a much more comfortable coming home to myself, understanding it for myself. But I had to move through some of the sexual like layers around that. Do you find that midlife can often like surface that for women? And I guess I brought Jane in because she kind of validated that for me in terms of what women are moving through, and I connected it like to like the womb work a lot that I do too. But yeah, what are your
Mm.
thoughts?
Yes, no, that's a great inquiry, and I totally agree. I mean, I often call our 40s like the age of reckoning. I know it
Right.
was for me,
Right.
it was a really tough time because yeah, that
Mm-hmm.
was when I was, in the trenches dealing with
Mm-hmm.
this, this body awareness that I'd been sexually abused by my father. And I think
Mm-hmm.
it is a time of reckoning because I think our bodies, maybe we've been overriding our signals and our boundaries for a long time, and particularly
Right.
sexually. I
Mm-hmm.
think I think it's something like 1 in 3 women have experienced some
Yeah.
kind of sexual trauma. And whether that's to do with something in childhood or a bit of an icky teenage experience, or just not listening to their bodies and pushing through and having really drunk sex, or we've all
Yeah.
been there in different constellations. And I think
Yeah.
for me, what happens in our 40s is that, as we're preparing for menopause, as this powerful rite of passage, our body starts to go, hello, you're not going to push through and override me anymore. And so certain symptoms might be amplified, or certain traumas might come up. And it's like messages start coming through our bodies, coming through our wombs. And it's like
Mhm.
we have a choice. Again, it's this piece of choice, isn't it? We have a
Right.
choice. We can either listen to what our bodies are saying and listen to what traumas might be coming up, and think, okay, I need to heal that now and be gentle with that or work with that. Or we can keep pushing through and overriding it. And I think that's often when menopause can be very problematic and challenging,
Right.
or we
Mm-hmm.
start to get illnesses, cancers, all of these things. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think, like you say, your 40s are a time of reckoning, and things are going to
Yeah.
come up. And
Mm-hmm.
it's your body's giving you an opportunity. It's giving you signals and messages that you can either
Mm-hmm.
listen to, or you can override and ignore.
Yeah. And that's been a theme from a couple different speakers, and it's like your 40s, like this midlife is really an opportunity to come home to your body. Like your body needs an upgrade, your operating system needs an upgrade. It's a new level of partnership with your body that I feel, and of course you're older than me, that sets the foundation for the power years that will be coming. So yeah, thank you for speaking to that. And
Mm.
I also just was so curious, what did you feel your 50s were about? Moving
My
from 40 to
50s,
50s.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
so 40s I found quite pretty difficult, I have to say, because that was, when I was depressed
Mm-hmm.
and starting to do some really serious inner work
Mm-hmm.
and healing. So it was yeah, it was a lot. And I'd got small children because I had children
Right.
later.
Yeah.
They were only sort of toddlers, and so a lot of
Right.
so my 50s became more a sort of a mixture, really. I call it my nifty 50s.
Oh, I love that.
So nifty 50s for me was, really, yeah, really starting to step into this embodied empowerment, starting to feel the vibrancy in my body again,
I love
starting to
it.
feel more joy. And,
Mhm.
I discovered conscious dance by then. I was like, oh my God, what a revelation. I can sober dance till the cows come home. Because, I'd also sort of gone off drinking as well by my 50s. It's a bit,
Right.
might have the odd glass of bubbles, but I'd
Yep.
always associated, oh, I can only go dancing if I go out to a club or something. That's maybe a
Right.
very British thing, but
Yeah.
discovering
Well.
dance and movement, and also the sisterhood. By then I was part of a big community. I lived in South Africa for 20 years. So I was
Hmm.
part of a big red tent community there. So I was really rooting in with my sisters
Amazing.
and sitting in circle, talking, dancing, crying, praying, playing together. So
Hmm.
it was a time of a
Amazing.
lot of joy and freedom. And I was
Hmm.
living on an off-grid farm in nature, swimming in the ocean every day. So, communing with nature on a big level. It was rewilding me. I was becoming a wild
Yes.
woman.
I love it. So your 50s really was the ushered in the season of the wild woman. I just
Yeah.
love how, though, you really embody this, the journey of like aging, awakening, power, sensuality. And thank you for sharing that and bringing that inspiration because it's really powerful. As we
Mm.
wrap up our time together, is there anything that's just kind of like on your heart that you wanted to bring forward, to speak to the listeners?
Mm. I think one of my most powerful messages that's coming through is like it's never too late. It's
Yeah,
never too
your
late.
example of that.
3 years ago, I was broken. I was
Mm.
face down in the dirt, in the underworld, covered in snot and tears. It was the end of my 35-year marriage. I was moving countries back from South Africa, back to the UK from South Africa. I ran a business with my ex-husband. I had to start from scratch in a town I had never visited in my life. It was
Wow.
brutal. I mean, it was a
Yeah.
horrendous year. And that was only 2023. So I think back sometimes and
Wow.
think, well done, Sally. I
That's
really
a
am
Phoenix
rising
move
like the
right there.
phoenix, a
Yeah.
real phoenix move, because,
Yeah.
that's the thing. Sometimes things have to die. We have to kill our
Mhm.
darlings. We have to let go of the things that we think are very precious, because sometimes those are holding us back to being who we're meant to be
Mhm.
in this new midlife chapter, this powerful chapter, the second chapter. I
Mhm.
call it the second coming.
Mhm.
But
Ah, I love it.
Cuming. I think that's going to be the
Yeah,
title
yeah,
of my
I
book,
love
actually.
it. Yeah. That's like a
So
great
yeah,
book
never too
title,
late.
really. Yeah. Um, mhm. I love it. Um, I don't know if I have anything to add. I don't know why all of a sudden I kind of drifted off. That's amazing though. I love everything that you just shared. I totally agree. I feel like there was something I wanted to add in, but I don't remember. So I'm going to swing back to your free gift, but I also want to
Yes.
invite our listeners. Same thing with every interview. You're being invited to drop in, to tune in, and to just notice, what really sparked for you in this conversation.
Yeah.
What was an insight, right? What's that, like that
Mm,
juicy takeaway, right? Just kind of
yeah.
distracting the wisdom, what feels true for you. And as
Mm,
always, I like to make that invitation. And how can you honor it? Like, what's one
yeah.
step? How can you honor it? So, thank
Yeah.
you so much for Sally for being here. Share us with us a little bit about your free gift. And then, of
I
course,
will.
we'll make sure that we have, oh, and then just like the place on socials that you hang out the most. And if you just want to share
Yes.
that here, we'll put all your socials down below as well. But yeah,
Brilliant.
go
Yeah.
ahead.
Yeah. And thanks for that invitation to everyone who's listening. And I love chatting to people. So everyone's always welcome to reach out to me on Instagram or through my website. Because I mean, feedback and conversations like this are how we're all weaving this work together. The age of
Mhm.
the gurus have toppled off their pedestals. Hurrah. So I feel like,
Yes.
it's up to us, the ordinary people now. People want to hear and celebrity culture. It's like people want to hear real stories from real people now. And I feel like that's a
Mm-hmm.
big shift that's happening. So, yeah, always open for a
Mm.
conversation.
Love
So
that.
bring it
Mhm.
on. And my free gift is 5 easy pathways to pleasure rituals. It's a really nice little. It's a PDF, but it's got 5 amazing little, like I call them, my love bites. These little practices that you can just weave into your day that reset your nervous system. They activate joy and oxytocin in your body, and they're super simple but super effective. So yeah, enjoy
Ah,
those and make pleasure an
great.
everyday practice. Practice, I call it habit stacking.
Hmm.
If we do little 2 minutes here, 2 minutes there, we put on a banging tune while we're making the kids' lunch boxes. It's all keeps us moving and grooving. So yeah,
Hmm.
that's my free gift.
Yeah.
And I hang out mostly on Instagram, which is mature.eros. So you can find me there, and I'm doing lots of amazing lives through March, which is going to be very exciting. This is my robust response to what's happening in the world right now. So look out for that for International Women's Month. And Tara, you're going to be joining me as well. I've got all these other fellow experts in the field of female
Hmm.
sexuality and embodiment under the banner
Amazing.
of the embodied power of mature female sexuality. So
Mm.
again, this is going to be a really juicy
Yeah, I just got
15, 20
shivers.
minutes. Yeah,
So
it's going to be
needed.
amazing.
I love it.
Yes.
All right.
Woo!
Well, thank you, Sally, for joining us. And thank you, listeners, for joining us as well. Head on over to the
Yes,
Radiant
thank
Midlife
you.
Facebook group if you'd like to pop in and do some sharing. And otherwise, I will see you on the next interview. Thanks again, Sally.
Thank you. Bye.